What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? I'm here with, that's all they needed. That was it.
Y'all like a middle-aged dad bod, huh?
So, how's it going, John?
We're rocking. We're rocking out here on this boat, man. Y'all got your sea legs? No, hanging on? Yeah, that's right. Just keep drinking, dude. Keep drinking.
It's wild. All right, so let's just jump right in, and that way we'll go quicker. So also, really quick to start off with, there are 2 microphones on the side here. Line up. We'll take questions in just a few minutes, and we're all in this together with this rocking and rolling. So let's start off to John. You've had such an interesting start, getting into acting. It's such a fascinating story starting off. So tell me a little bit about that beginning, getting into acting and going to school and how that all turned out.
I didn't have much. It's not something I really had my sights on at all. I used to play sports, football and baseball, and I was a boxer, and that's really all I wanted to do. But I was kind of didn't have much direction and wasn't good enough at any of those to really make a career out of it. But yeah, I kind of fell into it. I took a class sort of by accident. This wonderful woman named Alma Becker was teaching the class, and it was sort of just it was big fluke. Everybody had to the first class. Everybody had to bring in something that they cared about and shared it with the class. And these were theater people, and to me, they were the weirdest people I'd ever seen in my life. And they were like all sitting on the floor, even though there was a bunch of chairs in the back. And that never made fucking sense to me, you know what I mean? And each person had to talk about something that they cared about and share it with the class. Like a game of show and tell on steroids, but it was like theater people, it was like actors and shit. And I'd never seen anything like it. And the first girl pulled out a Blues Traveler CD. Man, that's a long ass answer to a short ass question. I'm sorry, dude. But here we go. Anyway, she was talking about a Blues Traveler CD that her boyfriend had given her. She's crying her ass out in front of all these people. Then the next person had something, and they were emoting, and it was just such a big deal to all these people. And then it came to me, and I forgot to bring anything. And we had fall baseball practice right afterwards, so I grabbed my catcher's glove. I made up this whole story about how my mom had given me that glove on her deathbed, and she was like alive and well in D.C. But I thought I was just doing the acting, you know what I mean? So I was doing it, and then I looked around the room, and everyone's like crying their eyes out, and I'm crying my eyes out, and I'm like, whoa, shit, I'm just, and and then that woman, Alma, she's this magical woman, she said, she tore my ass off, but then she said, you have something. She made me audition for a play, and I ended up doing the play, and I fell in love with it. And then, from that point on, that was it for me. I ended up, I couldn't finish school. I got in some trouble, and I ended up moving to Moscow, Russia. There's one of the best theater schools in the world there, and I went there on my own and played some baseball over there, and, that kind of saved my life. That woman, Alma, she saved my life. She married my wife and I, and Alma's, she's a super, I have her name right here. What am I doing, dude? But no, she's special, and it really goes to tell you that, I think teachers are the most undervalued and underappreciated, and there's nothing in this world like taking a youngster, and a youngster could be a little baby or somebody like me, a wayward, crazy-ass maniac, 19-year-old, and helping and show direction and find a spark in them and change their whole life. She saved my life, changed my life, made my life, so I'll never forget that. Yeah, thank you, Alma.
So perfect segue. Before we jump into television, I'm going to do things in reverse here. Film. I mean, your extensive career in film is amazing. Starting off with, we'll talk Wolf on Wall Street. There's the scene, the sell me this pen scene stole the entire film.
Oh, thanks, man. Hey, this boat can't tip over, right? Right? I mean, it's funny and all, but it can't tip over, right? Yeah. Right.
I think I
just want to make that.
I think the front is right here, too.
Okay, I'm like, good lordy. All right. Shit. I'm like looking for the exit, dude. All right, yeah.
So Wolf on Wall Street, the experience working with Scorsese and in the Powerhouse ensemble there, and your experience working on that film.
On Wolf.
On Wolf, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that experience and.
Shit, I mean, look, man, that's the mountain. I mean, Marty's, he's the mountaintop. You know, it was a dream come true. The reason why, besides studying, besides everything that happened in my life with falling in love with theater, the reason why I fell in love with film was because of Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro and their films, and that that kind of energy, tapping into that kind of stuff was the kind of stuff that always led me into trouble, led me getting kicked out of things or locked in places. And for me, I saw what those guys did, what De Niro was doing in his younger days under the tutelage of Mr. Scorsese, and that was everything. I said, if you can tap into that and put it on film, you can get something out of it. And I was just it was a dream come true, and it changed the way I worked. It changed who I am as an actor from working on there. The best in the world, and I think it's true in any business, no matter what you do, they don't try to control you. They make you feel 100 feet tall, and they make you capable of anything, and they encourage you to try things. And it doesn't matter who you on a Scorsese set, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're sweeping up, if you're driving in, if you're hanging lights. If you have an idea, throw that idea out there, and every idea is worth talking about and going for. And to me, that's the best way to do it. This business, and I think any business, starts getting messed up when people start climbing up all over you and micromanaging you and saying you can only do this, and then it doesn't inspire you to work harder, to take a risk. And I know in this business, I'm not interested in riskless, pussy ass acting. I don't like that. I don't like it when people just do the same shit all the time and just go one note. I think in order to oh my lord, in order to to do something special, you got to take a risk, and you got to be willing to fall flat on your face. You got if you're gonna hit a home run, you got to strike out a lot, and I like that. I like a place that's safe, and you're encouraged to be bold, and you're encouraged to fail. I don't like safe when it comes to this.
Absolutely, and like I said, before we get into television and talking about the ultimate badass characters that you've portrayed.
Ultimate badass. I'm like shaking in my boots because
like, is this gonna tip? Are we going over?
It's just acting.
Baby Driver.
Man, I'm not even in that movie, man.
I mean, you're in the movie.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're the character. The moments he's on screen, he's an ultimate badass. But working in that opening sequence in the car, mostly in the car, driving around.
Yeah. I mean, y'all are laughing. No one's scared? All right, cool.
I'm holding for the boat.
I mean, it's like no one was scared on the Titanic, dude. I mean, good gracious. Okay, what'd you say?
The opening sequence of Baby Driver, playing like a musical number. That was something that was so different, and I think people fell in love with that film because it hadn't been done before. The behind the scenes was very meticulous. Talk about shooting that opening number and how specific every single move had to be with slamming the car doors and.
It's super specific. I mean, Edgar, it's like that's the thing I'm most proud of. In my career is the directors I've gotten to work for and the friends I've gotten to make along the way. And Edgar is, he's a genius. He knew exactly what that movie was going to be before he met it. When you read that script, it came accompanied with a DVD with music. So he knew every beat of that movie musically before it started. Every frame was synced up. He knew that, and it's a real testament. I think great filmmakers. It's just all about having vision, and real geniuses have unbelievable vision. But to make them genius is how do you execute that vision? How do you get that thing from up here onto that screen, and how do you orchestrate all these different people to do it? And it's hard, and it can be tedious at times, and a movie like that. But look, I was only in it a little bit, but I was proud to roll with Edgar. I really like him, and I believe in him. I think he's a great filmmaker. Yeah.
And there's a lot of fans talking to as well about Baby Driver 2. And even though your character says this is the last time you see me, I'm dead. Everyone's saying that the sequel is going to be very focused on your character.
Right on, man.
Which could be cool.
Yeah, dude.
So last thing I'll talk about before we turn it over to television, which I'll let the fans ask the questions. Like I said, doing things different. Shot Caller, if anyone saw Shot
wow,
Caller.
Shot
Let's
Caller.
talk about that. You guys shot with actual prisoners.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
Well, I've never been asked questions about Baby Driver and Shot Caller, man. That's something, dude. That's cool, man. All right, yeah.
So talk about shooting with actual prisoners. Tatted from head to toe, playing this. I don't want to spoil anything, but this.
It's a
Also
good movie. I
badass.
mean, Shot Caller is a hard movie. It's a hard movie. Look, it was made by a guy named Rick Wall. It's the second movie I've done with him. He directed a movie called Snitch that I did with Dwayne Johnson. And he did another one called Felon, which is one of the most hard-hitting prison movies you'll ever see. Rick's an unbelievable guy. He's a soldier of authenticity. To make these prison movies, he went undercover as a parole officer and prison officer for 3 years. He knows everything about the California penal system and about the gangs that run them. And, he and I are real close, and he was able to get me in contact with some people who have, lived a very sort of certain kind of life. And look, I'm a big believer that, one thing I hate is when criminals are sort of portrayed in the movies as stupid or, base or, look, everybody sort of plays the cards that they're dealt, and there's humanity and beauty and grace in all walks of life, and I really believe that. And the penal system, it's a chicken and the egg sort of thing. It's a messed up system, but what created it was messed up too, and it's a whole different set of rules, especially out in California, and I was really. Some of the people that I got to meet for research were people, that were, in hiding for their life, had green lights on them, you know what I mean? And I was, I love Rick, and I believe in him, and I love that I got to make those connections. And then, shooting the film, we shot in a working maximum security prison, and, we were staging riots, race riots with real Norteños, Sureños, real Aryan Brotherhood, and real Black Guerrilla Family. I mean, they were and you have never seen a group of people be more respectful towards each other, you know what I mean? And, it was exactly the opposite of what an idiot would think it would have been. And, it was, I'm proud of the film and proud of the experience.
Awesome. So we can talk about, the year in film. I mean, it was an incredible year, but we have a lot of Walking Dead fans and a lot of Punisher fans here. So I've geeked out. I've got to talk to you about film. I'm going to turn it over to these guys. I'm going to have them ask questions about Walking Dead and Punisher. So let's start on the left side over here. Awesome. Here we go.
So before I ask my question, my wife used to have a crush on Mark Wahlberg and Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah?
I think you've taken that over by the way she's
man.
looking at me.
Your wife has a crush on you, man. You know what I mean? That's all that matters.
So my question
Where are you, man? Where is you? Oh, okay.
So,
I thought it was you.
No.
I can't see.
So my question is, I pay attention to a lot of things you say. And somebody asked a question if you would be involved in Fear the Walking Dead. And you said that you want to keep your character as it is with a beginning and an end. The Walking Dead fans want more of you. So what do we need to do to inspire you to be part of that story? And I'm being serious with that, because, I think that if people knew what your what people thought of you, they wouldn't have killed you off as early as they did.
I appreciate that, man. And shit, what happened? The boat, right? The boat, huh? Look, I think first of all, I can't tell you how much I appreciate. I appreciate everything. You got to understand where I came from and who I was. I'm so grateful for this. I got 3 wonderful kids I love with every bit of my body. I got a wife that I love with everything. None of this all is I'm grateful for it all. And, Walking Dead was such an unbelievably pivotal, important time in my life for so many reasons. I could literally just talk about that all, through Mexico, through till we get back. Those people that made that show, they're still some of the closest people in my life. You know what I mean? I love them. That main group of people that's I started that show with, that's as good as it gets. It's as good as it gets. It was all just racehorses being able to take off. And, Also it was a time where I got, folks like Norman and Andy and Sarah Wayne Callies. I hadn't had a family yet. I was about to get married, and I had these models of husbands and wives and fathers and mothers and family, and how you can have a family and a whole family up here, and even go into this business that doesn't support really being a family type person. I learned so much from that. I learned so much how to be a number one on a show from Andy Lincoln. He's the best number one, in my opinion, that I've ever worked with. And Norman Reedus teaches me lessons just, by being Norman Reedus. That's like my man. He's like one of my best friends in the world. These relationships, but that character of Shane, I so appreciate that people dig him and that people would potentially want more of him. But I think, for me, it was such a cool opportunity because he was a guy with a beginning, middle, and end. He was a guy with a full arc. I knew when I took that part that he was not going to make it long. And I knew that he was going to start off eating a burger, sharing a pile of ketchup with his buddy, talking about his buddy's marital problems, and being right there for him, being like, man, I want to help you with this. No sinister bullshit. I'm here for you. I love you. I'm just your best friend. I'm your right-hand man. I'm your pit bull. I'm right here. And I knew that within the course of 10, 15, 20 episodes, I was going to be sleeping with his wife, and then I was going to be jealous, and then I was going to want to kill him, and then I was going to want to lose that is a great character. That is an opportunity, man. And look, my whole life changed, from that and after that, and I ain't going to bullshit you. When I left, I knew I was going to leave. It's not like they were like, John, you got to go. I knew I was leaving. And that's a bonus that a lot of actors on that show don't get. And when I was leaving, I ain't gonna lie, man, I was scared. I was like, just my damn luck. I worked my damn ass off. I finally get on a show that's successful, and they kill my ass the second it starts, right? I thought that, but the truth is that, slowly but surely, I got to go right into something else, and I got to grow. And what I learned on that show about being a man, about being a father, about being a husband, about being an actor, it all started there and with that group of people. And to me, that was it in its purest sense. So it's not about going back. I can't go back to that. I'll never have that. You know what I mean? That's it to me. That's what that was to me. And I love it. I love that I had it, and I love that I've moved on from it. And I love, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, but also leaving it was the greatest thing that ever happened, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't even know if that answers your question, but it means a lot to me that you would say that, because I care. Oh, thank you so much. So I care about Shane too, and I get it. I really do. I really do.
With the fact that, after seven years now.
That was a long ass time ago, man. I didn't even have kids.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. And the impact too, and I think, as a character, you did, it was a gift to fans. Even thinking now, we've all been fans of the show for so long. Now, you think about everyone as what if Shane was still alive? It's a question that everyone asks. He's not. But what if he was?
He's super dead, dude. He's like super dead.
Twice.
Yeah.
Dead, undead, dead.
You are not coming back, dude.
No.
Yeah.
But I think having that character and everyone reflecting and seeing all these new characters and going, well, Shane was actually, believe it or not, one of the most sane characters. He watched all of this happen.
I think that he what they really did with it, something that Frank and I kind of tapped into real early, which I was so grateful for. He was so smart, man, is that Shane was the first guy to figure out the rules of the new world and that there weren't any. And it was really subtle. It all started with Ed, by the water there, that one day, Lori says, we're not talking anymore. Oh, shit. Lori says, hey, we're not talking anymore, you know what I mean? And stay away from my son. And he's like madder than hell. And then he sees old Ed beating on his lady, on Carol, and he's like, no. And he goes and he starts beating him and beating him and beating him. He's like, all right, you know what? I kind of like this. And you know what? There ain't nobody around. I can do whatever. This is the new world. And he discovers, good gracious. That's Hurricane Ed right there. Dude. Everybody's good? Damn, dude. All right. Anyhow, and then I think, an episode or two later, there was a thing where, he was tracking Rick in the woods. They were looking for something, and then he just got Rick in his crosshairs. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he just started thinking, in this world, you really could. And it happened to him first. He just figured it out screw all that nice guy shit, screw all that moral shit. Like, there's one thing that matters here, one thing only. And he just figured it out first, you know. And the rest of the group, they just weren't there then. They weren't ready for it. You know what I mean? And I think he had to go. He had to teach them that. He had, you know. And I think that was one of the lessons in him dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was human, and I think that's the biggest thing about The Walking Dead. The show is about human beings.
Absolutely.
And Shane absolutely was that 100%. So let's keep going with questions. Wherever the mics are. What's up with the Marine Corps shirt?
Say what?
The Marine Corps shirt.
Oh, just my buddy gave me the shirt. It's for Frank Castle, Semper Fi. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Let's see.
I love the
do we
Marines.
have one over here? Or let's do right side. Do we have one on the right side too?
Did you ever kind of talk with Andy about when Rick finally admitted to Michonne that the kid's yours? Well, Shane's.
I mean, I already knew that.
Well, yeah,
You
I
know
mean,
what
everybody already knew it. Everybody already knew it, but I was just kind of like, did you guys kind of talk about it as, amongst yourselves?
I think Andy may have called me, and I think that was the conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, man, just so you know. And I said,
You
I already
know.
knew, man. I already knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably how it went down. Yeah.
That's awesome. And by the way, you're freaking amazing in The Punisher.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. Thanks, y'all. Thank
So
you.
speaking of talking about your shirt as well, are those the boots? Are those the boots from The Punisher? Is
From
that-
The Walking Dead.
From Walking Dead, are they?
Dude, my base boots, I got them. Shane Walsh, he started them, and I carry them through to everything I do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can
So that's
get-
how they
yeah.
started, and then you've worn them.
I might have to find out if you can swim in them. You can run in them. You can, you know what I mean? But they can get you in and out of any situation. You know what I mean? You can fight. You can run. You can do it. You know what I mean? They're the best boots.
That's incredible.
Super easy. Zip on, zip off. Flip. Don't have to tie nothing. Just go. But I have never swum in them before.
Tomorrow, Cozumel.
Just as long as it's tomorrow, not tonight, man.
All right, let's do another one over here. Let's see. Okay, yep.
Hello. My name is Kelly. You're actually quite funny, by the way.
Oh boy. Funny looking.
No, being on the Titanic and all. What do you think about moving to a comedic role? You played a lot of hard-ass guys. Can you do something like that?
Yeah. I can, yeah, no, I can. I mean, look, I started off on a sitcom, and I did comedies. You know, that was kind of how I broke in. I prefer. I mean, look, I'm not a genre kind of person. I'm not like, I can only, Hollywood for being full of some of the most creative people in the world. It's an unbelievably uncreative place sometimes, and the problem is that once you show that you can do something, they just want to sort of see you do the same thing over and over again. And I try as hard as I can to try to keep pumping work out there that's different, not just because I'm worried about the longevity of my career, but just because I want to be inspired. I want to show a different color. I want to show a different side. And some of the stuff that y'all probably don't know about probably are you're like, damn, that's him? Yeah, and I hope so, at least. I hope you think that. And I'm like, man, look at dumbass Shane trying to be, But for me, it's really just about working with the best people possible and the best possible material that's available to you at the time. The stuff that really inspires you. And if that's look, when I was starting off, it was all about me trying to be on soap operas and CW romantic comedies. And they just looked at my big ass nose, my giant ass floppy ears, and they were like, that shit is not gonna happen. And that's why, I had no money in the beginning. I couldn't work. Good gracious. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tori. My question is, out of every scene you've done with The Punisher, which one is your absolute favorite?
Sorry, what'd you say? I was trying to find you.
All right, out of every scene you've done in The Punisher, obviously everything, what's your favorite all time?
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's two of them. I know it was the prison scene from Daredevil season 2. As far as action, just I do the fights myself. That's how a man fights and all that stuff. I have unbelievable respect for Phil Severa, Tom Williams, Eric Linden, the guys that do the fights. And stuntmen are the unsung heroes of the industry. They as these fights become more and more complicated and creative and chilling. It's like these guys that deserve, they come up with that stuff, and we just have a little bit of time to learn it, and it's awesome. I love it, and I love that fight because I thought it was just Frank frickin' Castle, you know what I mean? And but then for me, the two things were that, and then the speech by the graveyard in Daredevil season 2 as well, when he talks about coming home and his daughter and being too tired to read to her, and then she dies the next day. For me, I really thought that with that speech, it was written by a real Marine, which meant the world to me. This guy John Kelly, and I just felt like that is the guy. He got it better than any of the other people that I've gotten to work with, and I thought that speech, once we got to sort of say that and like have that out there, I felt, okay, now we can be bold enough to turn our back on the audience and be as brutal and as sick and to crave that death and to crave looking at somebody while they take that last breath. Like, you can get as dark as you want because you have that. You know where it's all coming from. It was just such a gift. It was such a beautiful speech that he wrote, and it came from a man who really knew what was up. So, so those are the two. It's easy. Those will always be my favorite, too. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. All right, so we'll go to the left.
If this boat does turn over, are you going to Otis somebody to get to a lifeboat?
Me and Bill are on our way out of here, dude. He's on my back, and we're swimming.
I figured you had practice at that, so.
Yeah.
My other question.
If need be. Just messing with you.
My other question is, out of all the roles that you've played, do you have a favorite scene?
No, there's ones that stick out that I love. You know what I mean? That were just a lot of fun. See, Walking Dead, like the barn scene, Walking Dead. Like I love that. Letting out the barn and telling them all what was it. That was coming at a time where I was kind of like pissed at everybody. You know what I mean? On like the higher ups, I felt like they weren't, like a lot of crap was going down, and gave me a chance to be like, why don't y'all see it? And that's always good. And Sophia coming out and Melissa McBride and the way she played that, sweet Melissa, man. And I don't know. And but in all these things, there's definitely I got lots of favorites from different things and for completely different reasons. But it would be you would have to probably ask me project for project. I'll bore you real quick. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. All right, so we'll jump over to the right side. Anybody over here? Up right there. Awesome.
Hi, John. Do you think if Shane was still alive, he would have had Negan out by now?
People seem to say that, I really honestly don't, don't kill me, don't throw me overboard, but I haven't been able to keep up with the show the last bit. I know it's so bad, but I'm working like crazy. I got 3 little kids, you know what I mean? So I got to catch up. But I know he's the man. I love Jeff, but a lot of people do say that, Shane wouldn't have stood for that. And, I tend to trust the people, Yeah.
All right, back over to the left here.
Hi, my name is Yaze, and my biggest question is I wanted to know, your biggest character in Winded River.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so what inspired you to do that role?
Oh, wow, yeah, thanks. I love being in that movie. My favorite thing to do, crazy enough, is I love doing, my buddy named James Badge-Dale, he's a great actor, and he does it all the time, too. We're just this kind of group of actors that, however big or small the part is, does not matter. And sometimes, somebody will send us a script, agents send us a script to look at like a lead role, but there'll be like a part that's just in one scene, and we're like, we want to do that. And our agents and everybody are like, are you out of your mind? Why? And I think what people don't get is that to be able to come into a movie and just do like 2 or 3 days and play this character, but show a sense that leave the audience with, damn, I want to know more about what happens to that person. Or there could be their own movie about that person. What it does is it adds authenticity and grit and reality to the rest of the film, because it helps creating the backstory of the film. And it's my favorite thing. My buddy Badge calls it being a hired assassin. You just go in, they're doing their movie, you just come in, wham, just throw down and just get the fuck out, I love it. And so for that film in particular,
Yep.
Taylor Sheridan is, I think one of the premier writers in Hollywood. He was an actor on Sons of Anarchy, quit to be a writer. He wrote Sicario, Hell or High Water, and then Wind River. And beautiful writer, beautiful man, a real man. You know what I mean? He's a rancher. He's a real dude. And I love him. You know, after Sicario, you know, he reached out and he dug what I did. And he said, hey, man, I just want you to come on this thing. It's going to be one scene, but it's going to be an acting exercise for you because you're going to open this door and every single person is going to think you're the bad guy. Like the whole thing, everyone's going to think that you are the piece of shit that did this. And you're going to have 2 minutes to make sure there's not a doubt in everyone's mind that you are not the bad guy, that you are full of love and that you love this woman, good, gracious, that you got to protect her. And and he let me,
seriously tell you that I literally did not think anything of your character in any other movie until I literally saw that movie and I saw everything from you coming to a point where, wow, this is a totally different part of you that I saw.
Oh, cool.
And it
cool.
was like, it meant home to me. It was like,
Thanks,
wow.
sweetheart. Thank you. I'm glad it meant something to you. It really meant something to me too. And it was, you know, it was a brutal little scene there. Yeah.
Just for 2 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Literally, it came out. You definitely betrayed yourself, and
And they got the fuck out. Yeah, right on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, and if when you're not on the boat, when you guys have Wi-Fi and stuff, just go through and watch Wind River, watch Shot Caller, watch Pilgrimage. Just go through and watch what Jon's done in the last year and a half, and it's just, I mean, unbelievable. So we'll go over to the right as well.
I'll stand. I think the key to this is power stance.
Plant the feet.
Yeah, exactly. So when I heard you first coming out as a Punisher, I was a little concerned that, man, I'm going to look at this and think Shane, but I think I can speak for everyone when I said, when the first episode was over, you absolutely crushed
Thanks,
any
man.
notion of that. So,
Thanks, man.
So piggybacking off of the hard work, the Punisher is a really physical role. You've got to look the part. You really got to train and do the things that you need to do. Can you maybe describe what your workout and what your eating process is?
Eating? Did you say eating?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The stop-at-eating diet?
No, I mean, look, man, it's a tough. I appreciate what you said. I care. You know, I'm enormously grateful to play Frank Castle. You know, like that's something. And you know, to me, I got a good dose of it. I got a good. I was taught well about what the comic book audience is through The Walking Dead, and I learned a healthy dose of respect for what it is. And you know, to me, you know, you read a comic book, and you know, all you're doing is you're looking at a picture and you're reading some words, and it requires the audience to put so much of their own imagination in there. And what that means is that these characters that have been around for so long, they belong to the audience. They don't belong to some asshole actor. They belong to the audience. They exist in your minds and your hearts, and you have to be faithful to it. Like, you have to be faithful to it. But then what you got to do is you got to make it yours, because the only way. Holy moly. The only way, I mean, there are no icebergs, right? I mean, so we're all right. Anyway, so, you know, you got to make it yours, right? So, you know, for me, you know, to play a part like that, that resonates the way it does with members of law enforcement and the military, and I've said it before, the fact that people you know, fought and died for our country, have put that Punisher skull in their body armor, and they've gone out there. That means everything to me. You can't fuck around with that. And for me, you know, if that means, you know, I've got to train harder with the guns, or I've got to train harder to get my body in a certain way, you know, that's nothing. You know, like that's nothing. That's like, you know, that's the easy stuff. You know, you know. Yeah, so I mean, look, there's been, you know, as far as like your actual question about my you know, that kind of thing, you know, for me, I just wanted to get really big and strong, and at first I really wanted it to be sort of like a vanity thing, but the thing that these guys really wanted, and a lot of the guys that I train with, Navy SEALs, Delta Force, you know, the thing that I'm finding is to be able to move, you know, to be like unbelievably strong, to be unbelievably strong, but to be strong, yes, but to be a physical and adaptable, and to be able to use your body in a number of different ways and understand a lot of different kind of martial arts and many different weapon systems. And to me, the absolute thrill of my job is I've gotten to become so close with, real vets, tip of the spear guys who have opened up to me, and not only opened up to me in terms of taking me in and training me and shared their secrets, but have also told me their stories and really taken me through and introduced me to families and friends and really opened up about what it's actually like to be over there. And anytime a vet opens up to you like that, that's something to be treasured, to be cherished, it's, they're with me every second that I'm playing that part. So if it's like, hey, there's a guy fucking around, or hey, a bunch of us are gonna go out for a beer after work, it's like, nope, none of it. So not eating a pizza is the easiest thing in the world. I don't even want to smile when I'm playing that part. Like, I do not want to smile. I don't want anybody joking. I don't, and it's because I think about them. I think about what they've shared with me, and I take it seriously. Yeah. I don't even know if that answers your question, but basically, yeah, man, just don't eat.
All right, right over here on the left. There you go.
Hi, John.
You're gonna call me Shane? Don't lie.
Well, firstly, I just want to say I was never a fan of Shane.
Fair enough.
But once I saw you in another movie, I forget what it was called. It was you were played, I think, the long lost brother of someone, but I do like your other roles. Also, I want to say that I love that you're an advocate of pit bulls.
Yeah.
Because they're a very misunderstood breed of dog. And also, since you said you didn't catch up on The Walking Dead, I just want to ask, theoretically, what would Shane's reaction be to the fact that, or the so-called fact that Carl is dying or dead? What do you think he would do? Like, would he blame anyone? Or would he just be like, oh, it just happened?
I mean, he would, he'd do whatever it possibly took to not let him die. I think that's who Shane...
Do you think he'd be even more mad at Negan?
Yeah, I think if, look, I don't know, I'm speaking out of my ass, but I think that if anybody, if anybody came, I think if
Shane best.
I think that once Judith came into the world, all bets are off. And I just know that from being a dad, you know what I mean? It's just like, you're just not gonna, you're not gonna mess with his family, that's it, I just think he's that kind of guy, and it wouldn't, he wouldn't be asking questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, my lordy.
I'm trying not to look at the curtains, but when I look at you, my peripheral it's just like moving.
Yeah.
All right, right side over here. Let's see. Where's the mic? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we all right. Scared.
Yeah, so first of all, mad respect for what you do for us in the military.
Thank you, brother. Mad respect for you, man.
Secondly, I know for what I do, it's hard to shield my kids from that. On that side, I go home, try to shed it off. So you're here with your son, saw you earlier today. That's awesome. Mad respect for that.
Thanks, bro.
How do you shield them from everything you do, and what do you let them, as young as they are, watch what you do? It's hard that way. They got no idea. People come up and they say, hey, look, they don't watch any of that stuff. I've given it, like, he ain't even paying attention, dude. You know what I mean? Like, he don't, you know what I mean? I'm just dumb old dad. We're playing ball and we're wrestling, you know what I mean? But, I've given them, Punisher dolls. They just rip the head off, you know what I mean? They're like, what is, my other son just says he loves Daredevil. But, man, I hear what it's funny because from going away from your family is the hardest thing in the world. It's the worst thing in the world, and you can leave your love, your lady, and that's so hard, but leaving your kids, it's just like it's a shame mixed with guilt, mixed with just utter sadness, especially when they're not quite old enough to understand, and it's this unbelievable pain, and for me, that's what fuels me to play the part. It's what when I think about it, it's very easy for me to get into Frank's mindset because of that, because they're with me every second, and the absence of them is there. But for me, it's like if I am going to leave him, and I'm sure it's the same with you. I want one day when this little man grows up and he sees it, whether he likes it or not, whether he's into it or not, I don't care. But I want him to look at it and be like, Dad was working his ass off. Like, Dad wasn't screwing around. Just like you go away. It's like Dad was fighting his ass off. Like, look at what Dad accomplished. He kept us safe. You know what I mean? He kept us safe. He fought for this country. And that means something, man. That's everything. And it's like you put your name on your work, and it doesn't matter what your work is, and you want your kid, I want my kids to know that everything is for them, and it isn't about money or fame or any of that crap. It's about like putting your stuff out there, throwing something down, throwing it down, because it matters and affecting folks, and hopefully, you know, be something that they can be proud of, and they'll say, well, you know, maybe it was worth it, you know. But then, you know, for me, I don't know about you, but my whole philosophy is just to try to be where you are while you're there. You know, when you're at home, you gotta be home, man. Nothing else, you know. That's it. But anyway, I appreciate your service, brother. Thanks for the question.
So it's amazing. So talking about, you know, giving the kids the Punisher figure and ripping the heads off. So you had a moment where you had a Shane figure, and now you have a moment where you have a Punisher figure, many variants of that. So how surreal is that moment to go from having one character and then another a second?
I don't know, man. To be honest with you, I don't pay it much mind the figure. I have thought at times my kids would like, but they literally just rip the head. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't pay it much mind. You know, I remember the Shane figure had. I had my wife's name tattooed right here, and the Shane action figure had that, and that always tripped me out. But besides that, I didn't really pay much mind. You know what I mean? Like an action figure with my wife's name on it. That's insane. You know what I mean? And like her nickname. You know what I mean? It's insane, right? You know what I mean? Like how the hell are they allowed to do that? You know?
Yeah, what was the approval process?
Right? Like I didn't see a penny for that. You know what I mean? It's like my wife's name, dude. Fuck.
All right, so we'll jump over here to the left here.
Right?
Hi, John.
What's up, man?
What can you tell us about the Punisher second season? What can we expect?
No, I cannot tell you anything, man. Nothing. I mean, yo, you know how they are. First of all, they don't tell me anything. Like, they don't tell me anything. They're so secretive. They don't mess around. You know, Marvel's a whole different animal, you know. It's a different way of working, you know, and I remember my man Jeff Loeb, when he called me up, he's a guy who sort of is the head over there, and he said, I'm going to say these words to you, and sometimes this will be the best thing, these will be the best words you've ever heard, and then times will be the worst words. And he said, welcome to Marvel. And he's just like, look, man, you're not going to, you know, it's like they take their security and their secrecy super, super seriously, and you know, you just, and one of the ways they deal with it, they just don't tell you much. Like, I really know so little. It's actually daunting considering we're starting so soon. So, sorry, I can't tell you much.
Awesome, we'll jump over here to the right, wherever the mic is. Go.
Hi, I'm Susie.
What's up,
and
Susie?
unlike her, I have been a fan of Shane since the beginning and
Thank
defended
you.
all of his
My
actions.
kind of lady.
Second, you've already revisited Shane coming back or no, but are you going to go on another cruise?
I mean, could they do one like on a lake? You know what I'm saying? Like, you
It's
know
the
what I
worst
mean? Like,
time to ask, like,
right?
as the boat.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll see about that.
All right, we'll jump over to the left. Here
I'm
we go.
such a pussy, man. Yeah.
Hey, John. My
What's
name is
up?
Daniel. So ever since you went into that comic book store and then left, and then you started reading the comics, is there, just in your imagination, which like villain or hero would you like Punisher to interact with?
Barracuda. I like to see Barracuda. I like to see. I mean, look, I'd really like to get back in with D'Onofrio with Kingpin. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so many. Oh my lordy, there's so many. You know, just twisted characters. You know what I mean? There's so many. But you know, like I'm really eager to see. Ah, shit, I'm gonna get in trouble. Yeah, let's just see what happens, man. Let's just see what happens. Man.
Someone's like, do it, say it. I can't. Get in trouble at work when you go back.
Literally, yeah.
It's so surreal looking up right here, and as the boat's like tossing and turning, these two hazmat suits, people just standing there like waiting for shit to go down. They're like, all right, we'll jump over to the right. Sorry, just looking. Is there more over here too? Oh God. Oh, they're zombies. Perfect. All right. Oh, there we go, right there.
Ever since I got into comics, Punisher has always been one of my favorite characters, especially the Garth Ennis version.
Yeah, me too.
And I think, hands down, you embody that amazingly.
Thanks, man.
But as a military guy, Fury is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And for that role, did you do any specific training or preparation?
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for your service. That movie's my heart. You know, it's funny. I was just in Las Vegas at the SHOT Show, and I went and met David Ayer, who directed that movie. You know, he's a vet, and he's got a guy named Kevin Vance, who's become one of my best friends. He's a Navy SEAL, unbelievable guy, man. I mean, like he's done it all, and he's just as humble and gracious and kind and wise a guy you'll ever meet. And Kevin does he's in David Ayer's movies, but he was in Fury in the movie, but he also does all the tactical military training. So, I mean, for that movie, it was pretty full on. You know, it was an 8-month shoot. First 3 months was just pre-production, but we lived, slept, ate, piss shat in the tank, all our meals in the tank. Everything that we did in the movie, that was always us. You know, I was really loading it. Shai was really firing it. Mikey was driving it, and Brad was calling the shots, and, you know, little Logan was sitting up front. And, you know, it was really important to Dave and to Kevin, you know, that it was, you know, shit hot and that it was right. And, you know, every vehicle in that movie was real. But, you know, as far as the training, you know, Ayer has his cast. I used to fight, so he has all of his cast fight each other, even if you have no experience. You got to fight. He thinks that what happens is actors will start learning more about each other once they start punching each other in the face, and there's no way to lie through that. But it's true, you know, you fight a guy who's no challenge for you, you know, and like how you deal with that guy says everything about you, and there's so much communication going on in that. So I had to fight the stunt guys, and they brought in like a karate teacher. I had to fight him, and everybody would watch. So that was part of the training. But then, you know, again, the tank training, the full immersion, but, you know, it was really Kevin. So what Kevin did at the end is he did like this little buds course right at the end, and he brought in a few other SEALs and took us through this whole thing, which was pretty insane. About, you know, every single one of us, we broke down, and, you know, I'll tell you what, Brad Pitt did absolutely everything that there was nothing that anybody did that he didn't do, and, you know, that tank just kind of became everything for us. I mean, people say in the military there's nothing closer than a tank crew, and that's really how we were. You know, it was even on days, you know, normally in movies, if you're not going to be on screen, you don't go that day. But for us, it was just like, look, it's 8 months. Nobody has any days off, period. If the tank's in the movie, you're in the tank. I don't care if I see you, you're inside, you're doing it. It's you guys riding it. And it's just that, it all sort of started from there and went on. But, you know, just seeing David, he was there in Vegas the other day with Kevin Vance, and they're doing a little documentary now, talking to a couple of Delta guys and a couple of SEALs, sort of about stuff that's happened back home, and they're doing some really interesting work. And I just see him and those guys really pushing the envelope and really trying to dig into the psyche and the emotions and trying to get tier one guys who are bold enough to kind of like open up and talk about it and showing the most courage in the world by going over there, but now a whole different kind of courage by opening up and kind of like talking about some of the things that they're dealing with. And I'm just blown away by those guys. And, you know, Kevin's one of my best friends in the world, and if there's one big takeaway for me from the movie Fury, it's my relationship with him. You know what I mean? Right on. But thank you. I love that movie too. It's my heart.
Cool. All right, we'll jump back over here to the left. Hi.
Yeah, after working with all the vets that you do, what's your stance on people that make role models that make a lot of money that can't stand up for our national anthem?
What's my opinion of that?
What's your stance on that?
That's a good question. You know, look, man, I think that for me in this country right now, we have a deal where, you know, I think that patriotism and being strong and being hard is getting confused at times on both sides with being unbending, with saying it's my way or the highway, with saying, you know, I am not going to listen to the other side. And, you know, for me, unfortunately, I feel that, you know, if I have one big takeaway from vets and, you know, combat vets, guys who have been through it over there, is that they got open minds and open hearts. They don't judge people by the color of their skin or by their sexual orientation or by their religion. You know, they don't say, hey, I'm the only one who I'm a badass and you're not. No. It's like, to me, what's strong is being able to say, hey, I'm a thinking man. I can have this conversation with you. I can hear what you're trying to say, and I have an open mind and an open heart to it. And I'm man enough with myself that, if you think differently than me, let's talk about it. I don't need to like get a whole bunch of my friends, but nah, man, that's weak. To me, that's weak. And so to me, I think my stance on it is that I apologize if it doesn't answer your question fully, but I think my stance on it is, I think anytime rigidity in what you believe in trumps everything else, I think that's a big problem. And I think like that's when I think when you're absolutely unwilling to bend or listen to other points of view, I think that's when things get very dangerous. So, I don't know why. Would I kneel for the national anthem? I would not. But I don't pretend to understand why someone's doing that. And if they're doing it, that's their choice. And they might have, it's not my place to judge them. That's my point of view. You know what I mean?
It was alluded to earlier, but the name of the film never came out. But The Accountant is probably my favorite movie that you've done. Oh, cool. And your work in that blew me away. I thought it was phenomenal. And I just was wondering if you had any memories or notes from that movie in particular.
From The Accountant?
Yeah.
Memories or... It was good fighting. I like the fighting. I know I sound like such a goober. But those guys, that's Fern and Sam, that's like the best fight team. They do all the, Spider-Man and Captain America and Gavin O'Connor is the director, and he did that movie Warrior. He did Miracle. He did Pride and Glory. I love Gavin with all my heart. He's just an unbelievable director, and he's a big fan of fighting. So all his stunt guys are real fighters. So we were just fighting like crazy, I like to do all that stuff myself. So that was just that. If I think of one thing from that, it was just that end fight, just really getting that. And Ben's guys are good. The guys that do Ben's stunt work, like those guys are super good. And Ben, he's awesome. John Lithgow, he's awesome. What else do I remember? I love Atlanta. I love Georgia. I love Atlanta. I love it. So we shot it down there. I wore like super fancy pants clothes that I didn't like, you know what I mean? There are times I look at myself in the mirror, my hair all, I was like, oh man, you know what I mean? I'm not into, anyway, whatever. But thank you, I really appreciate that you liked the movie. Yeah, it was fun, it was really fun.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna go right up here, up top.
Okay, I've loved you since I saw you and How I Met Your Mother. So my question is, how did you feel about going from such a badass in Punisher to such a pussy and How I'm... Sweet Virginia.
That's so messed up, dude. On like so many different levels. You know what I mean? Hey, look, I love Sweet Virginia. I love that movie. And I love that part.
So did I.
Thank you, sweetheart. But I loved getting an opportunity to play that part. If y'all haven't seen that one, that's a good one. This kid, Chris Abbott, you all know who he is soon. He delivers, I think, in my opinion, the best performance of the year this year in movies. He's horrifying in this movie. For me, that Sweet Virginia, what was cool about it is, that was supposed to go to Forrest Whitaker. That's who they went to first. And me and Forrest don't go up for the same parts too much. It was written for a guy who was supposed to be, in his 50s or 60s, kind of broken down. And I love the fact that I got to play sort of the guy who was weaker and meeker and withdrawn and was just trying to stay out of the fight and just wanted to stay out of the way. It was a really... I love that opportunity, and there was a lot in the script that wasn't there that the director, this guy Jamie Dagg, great director, he let me do. The whole thing of the early onset Parkinson's and having the limp, and there was a fight that he got into, and I said, well, what if he loses the fight? What if he, we figured out ways to make him broken down, and I loved it. I loved the opportunity, and I did not think that he was a PUSSY at all. You know what I mean? I just didn't. That's not how I look at him. Strengths, there's a lot of different kind of strengths, you know what I mean? Oh.
Awesome. So, last question. Besides the Punisher season 2, what's next? What can we look for in this year, next year? because 2017 was super awesome.
Oh, thanks,
So.
man. What's next? Yeah, so Punisher season 2, and then I did a movie with my friend Shia LaBeouf called Peanut Butter Falcon. I think you guys are gonna like that one a lot. And then I did a movie called Widows with Liam Neeson and Steve McQueen directed that, who did Hunger and 12 Years a Slave, and I think that's gonna be a cool movie. And got a few other things that I'm really excited about it as well. Some stuff that I wrote and another thing that's coming out. But yeah, I hope y'all dig next year. Yeah.
Awesome. So on behalf of everybody, as you just said about someone you admired, you're gracious, you're humble, you're kind.
Oh, thanks,
We appreciate
man.
you being here.
Thanks, bro.
So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Be safe.